Study the shift in equilibrium between COH2O 2 plus and Cl minus ions. Aim: study of the shift in equilibrium in the reaction between COH2O 2 plus and Cl minus ions by changing the concentration of any one of these ions. Materials required: test tubes, test tube stand, distilled water, burette, cobalt chloride solution, 60 ml of acetone plus 0.600 grams of cobalt chloride, acetone, concentrated hydrochloric acid, measuring cylinder. Procedure: study of equilibrium shift when adding water. Take 5 test tubes labeled as A, B, C, D and E. Take the cobalt chloride solution in a burette. Add 3 ml of cobalt chloride solution in test tube A from burette. Similarly, add 3 ml of cobalt chloride in the remaining test tubes B, C, D and E. Now take the acetone in a burette. Add 1 ml of acetone into test tube A. Then 0.8 ml in test tube B, 0.6 ml in test tube C, 0.4 ml in test tube D. Finally, add 0.2 ml in test tube E. Now take the distilled water in a burette. Add 0.2 ml of distilled water into test tube B. Then 0.4 ml in test tube C, 0.6 ml in test tube D. Finally, add 0.8 ml in test tube E. Now compare the intensity of the colors in the test tubes B, C, D and E with the blue color in test tube A taken as the reference test tube. Record the observation in tabular form. Study of equilibrium shift when adding Cl minus ions. Take 6 test tubes labeled as A, B, C, D, E and X. Take the cobalt chloride solution in a burette. Add 10 ml of cobalt chloride solution in the test tube X from burette. Take 5 ml of distilled water using measuring cylinder. Now add it into test tube X and a pink color solution can be observed. Take the pink colored solution prepared above in a burette. Add 1.5 ml of solution in test tube A from burette. Similarly, add 1.5 ml of solution in the remaining test tubes B, C, D and E. Now take the distilled water in a burette. Add 2 ml of distilled water into test tube A. Then 1.5 ml in test tube B, 1 ml in test tube C. Finally, add 0.5 ml in test tube D. Now take the concentrated HCl in a burette. Add 0.5 ml of concentrated HCl into test tube A. Then 1 ml in test tube B, 1.5 ml in test tube C, 2 ml in test tube D. Finally, add 2.5 ml in test tube E. Record the observation in tabular column. Precautions: use concentrated HCl carefully. Use only distilled water. Handle acetone or alcohol with care since it is flammable.